going on, guys? Holy shit.
Forearm?
I'm surprised these things are still intact. Barely, but they're there.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, I made a little video on my own personal channel talking about it, but the relief of knowing that I have like 3 weeks of just rest if I need it, no travel, just kind of enjoy the holidays, relax, and yeah, I can't imagine how you guys feel after this weekend.
Same.
I will say my elbow is not touching a table till January 18th. So not touch a table until then.
Mine neither.
So sorry.
What's the most sore on you guys? Is it your brachialis, Lewis?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking trashed. I mean, it already was, but it's just more so now.
My right actually feels good. It's just my left, the inner elbow still from the Cody Addison match.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So your right doesn't feel beat up?
It feels okay. I'm surprised. I really thought that it was going to hurt after that Frank Hurst match. Both of them, actually, because it was just straight side pressure, and you felt it right here on both times.
Yeah.
And Lewis felt the same thing, and it was like, man, I don't know how this is going to feel tomorrow. Luckily, I woke up, and it was okay.
Yeah.
So
that dude's got a hit, huh?
Bro, he rocks and just goes straight sideways. It was disgusting. But you know what?
A lot of commitment in that hit.
A ton. But Coach Ray knew how to stop it. He sucked him in.
Caught him right at the edge. That's beautiful.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What were some other pretty cool like tournament matches that you guys got to see?
Man, let's see. I thought that I was really surprised by Jerry and Levon, obviously. I thought for sure that Jerry was going to be able to make a stop, but it looked like Levon was just able to grab him low enough to where Jerry couldn't give up his wrist.
Yeah.
You know, it's just Levon had full control there, and there was no give whatsoever. Well, Gabby, obviously.
Those are the pay-per-views. I'm saying that I'm talking about the tournament Friday. Like like there's a lot of people there. There was Artem was there, Philip Larson was there.
Artem took on a super heavyweight Sweden that challenged Devin first to a match just for fun. So they had a little match, which was nice. And then Artem ended up beating him in the main tournament. But then when they went to the finals, he was able to recondition himself over the last 24 hours and make his weight matter.
Wow! So he actually beat Philip in round one.
He did.
Wild.
Yeah, dude, just hit like crazy, and he pulled him all the way to the side, had him about a half inch from the pad, and finally just pulled it out.
That's wild.
What up, Tim, TT?
What's up, T? You doing all right there? I guess he's in his vehicle.
I am, yeah. About to see Santa with the kids. So.
There we go.
Good deal.
But yeah, seeing Paul Cruz be surprised by how well his left did, because they started left open, and he was just plowing through people, man. And he was like, okay, I didn't realize this was gonna happen, but I can't
remember where I've seen him from, but that James Clark dude was pretty impressive too. I believe he was the one that fought Paul Cruz left-handed, like in the finals or something like that. Maybe
beat him,
right? Beat him.
I believe so. Yeah, in the finals he did. Yeah, he lost in the regular tournament, but then he won in the finals twice.
Yeah, that dude was gnarly.
He was, dude. Crazy topper.
We got him stem celled up in Orlando, and he's been dealing with an injury on his left, so it's kind of his first thing back.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember where I've seen him before, but when I saw his face, I was like, "Oh, I've seen that guy. He's a big dude, isn't he? He's like pretty tall."
Yeah.
There was another local guy there too. I can't remember his name. I want to say his last name was Sanchez, but he was a local guy there that was pulling 198s. He looked like he was 215.
Oh, that's the guy that pulled Coach Ray, right?
Yes. Yeah. Phenomenal.
World puller.
World puller.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude. They were just saying that he was a local guy, that he was coming up in the ranks, and I didn't realize that he was a world puller. But yeah, he was pretty impressive.
I'm pretty sure he is. Hey, look who he is! That floating head.
Who let this person in here?
Finally, Lewis is going to stop making fun of me for the week, and
we put the two bald guys on the bottom.
That's right.
That's where
How
the
you doing,
strength
Adam?
is. That's where the
I'm
strength
good.
is.
I didn't know Steve was on the bottom, but whatever.
So we were
Good
talking
to see
about
you. It's good to see you again, Adam. It's been a long time.
It has been, yes, very long. A few days.
Yeah, I feel like we saw you in Washington, and then, well, no, we saw you at Arizona's Finest,
Right.
and we saw you at Washington, and then we saw you, or they saw you at Atlantic City.
Yep.
Yeah. So you might as well just get a T-shirt and join the team, bro.
I know, right? Seriously.
How did you feel about watching Joseph Moranto go through Kevin Palco 4-1?
I was impressed. Yeah, I was impressed. I knew it was going to be a good match. And even though that Kevin lost, each round was very, very good in that match.
Big time. A chess match for sure.
Yeah. So I'm a great matchmaker. I just wanted you to know.
I was going to say, I don't think most people understand and know that, like, you were predominantly the reason why Joseph was handed that opportunity. A lot of because of the YouTube video that you had just prior made a few weeks prior. I think a long time you, me, and a lot of these Arizona guys have been saying, just the moment we get him to travel, the moment we get him to a big tournament, the moment we get him somewhere, right? It's all going to show. And sure enough, I mean, the biggest stage that you can be on, and he sees the opportunity. Adam should start banging out all these tournaments. Yeah, he should.
Love it.
Sure.
Yeah, but you were able to watch the tournament as well. I was just asking the boys, any of the, not the pay-per-view, but any of the tournament matches that you were really surprised by, or that you watched and you thought were super dope?
I don't know if there was anything I was really surprised by. Well, maybe there was, but it's a little bit of a blur, that tournament.
What time did it take place? It was a late night tournament, was it not?
It started at like 6 p.m. So maybe a little bit later even. But yeah, it ended up being a great tournament. I knew it was going to be. And it was I don't know. I thought it was some pretty good players there. Some good high-level arm wrestlers showed up.
That's what I was telling them. I was like, you had Artem, you had Philip Larson. I think John Hutchinson's was there. John Hutchinson, I believe, is a referee. But that guy and Joseph have been talking for so long. In good talks, I've always wanted to see them two pull, because John Hutchinson's been around a long time. And then,
I was gonna say, as far as even the amateur matches, I think just because everybody was very amped up to be there, there were so many good matches. You didn't see a whole lot of. Yes, we did experience a couple of people just getting flashed and competing against others who were kind of out of their league, but these were battles. There were some good battles. I know people were very amped up. They wanted to be a part of the experience. I didn't even know that they were going to still do the whole finals on the as prelims for the King of the Table.
Yeah,
maybe that amped up some people. Maybe they knew that. I didn't realize that till the very end. But that definitely played a factor in people's, I'd say, exertion in their matches.
you were on pay-per-view, buddy. How'd that feel?
I was going to say, who saw that guy Luis Barrera just run through 20 pro left class and end up on a pay-per-view event Saturday?
Hey, I know that guy.
What?
Let's not get into that, because then Tim's gonna knock me down some notches.
I didn't know Mexicans blushed like that. Jesus. Good.
I had to make sure to give him a foul real quick to check and put him in.
Tim's getting all these fouls too. What the hell?
What the fuck? And his own teammates? Who does that shit?
That's what I do.
I will say my elbow went flying off the pad. Like, I don't know what the hell happened, but just, I don't know, nerves. But yeah, good call,
bro. And then watching you almost win with like a half press. Almost.
Yeah, I was about to transition. Like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just pin him like this.
Oh, hey, I see Aaron Blevins here. Aaron, I'm going to smack you.
What's going on, Aaron? What's up, AB?
My man, congrats to Lewis.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
okay, so then let's talk about the pay-per-view. While we still have Tim, while you were able to referee a lot of those matches, or a good majority of the matches, what was your highlight of the pay-per-view and being a part of it all?
I mean, I just felt that it was different this time around. I mean, Adam can maybe contest to this. I've been to, I don't know how many King of the Tables, 4 or 5 now, and same with East versus West, but this one just felt different. The production felt on point. The staging, how it was with people around it, and you were able to walk around it, felt way better than like a massive stage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it just hit different this time. It was nice. It was smooth. It wasn't complicated, um, and it was packed. It was a perfect place to have it. Easy access to everything. Um, I mean, besides Atlantic City being kind of dead, you know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that like it's a stepping stone to the gateway to Vegas. I think it's coming sooner than people probably think because just to how easy it was for food and hotel and transportation, and you didn't have to go anywhere. I think it's the right move, and I don't see it being any different anytime soon. But I was happy to be a part of it.
And it's central. This is Vegas is centrally located, so it's not like you're traveling from one side of the country to the other. Like a lot of these West Coast guys aren't going to go to Atlantic City because just of the plane ticket alone. But Vegas makes it a little, I guess, a little bit more central. I guess if you could. But I want to ask with that point, Lewis, I know, Tim, I know. I don't remember, Adam, if you were at the East versus West in Florida that took place. You were. So what would that compare to as far as this goes? Just because they're both massive events on home soil and they've both been touted as being so different, and a lot of it I feel like is because of what Tim was just talking about when it comes to the format, the layout, how everything ties in together. How would you compare those two?
There's a couple things. I mean, one thing is the reason these kind of are separate from the rest of them that have been done in the past is that they're in America and they have a huge audience. So it changes the feel of the entire event when you have 1,000 people. Actually, we had I think 12 or 1,300 or 1,400 even at King of the Table, and they were over capacity at East versus West. It was supposed to be 800. I think there were 1,000.
Wow.
So that was it was really insane. But that makes a big difference. The crowd.
It's a
So
huge difference.
yeah, I mean, I originally, by the way, when I went down to East versus West, I was going down to just have fun, and I was going to go see my brother and sister-in-law, hang out with them. And it was about 20 minutes into the show when Don came over to me, Don Adries, and said, "Hey, you need to come over and direct everything now because it was a new team that was helping us out."
Got it.
And they needed some help, and so I directed the entire thing after that first 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing because we worked out all the bugs. And when we were planning this one, we're using the same team, and this time we were able to do a lot of testing, everything up front, so that the show, even though there were maybe a couple minor hiccups, everything went really well. And
Yeah.
that I'm a stickler for production, and so I made sure to personally make sure that every camera was properly balanced, every microphone was at the proper levels, tested it on test streams multiple times. We know that some people are going to be loud, some people are going to talk softly. We need to be able to change that on the fly, and I think it went really well. I think people were really happy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And once again, that East versus West Florida event being kind of the first of its magnitude here in the United States. Obviously, there's a lot of trial and error, a lot of firsts, a lot of things that you're going to learn on the fly and do. But like Tim was saying, getting closer to Vegas, the more that we do these Atlantic cities, Floridas, all these things, and get to the biggest show, I just don't think you can compare. I mean, the one East versus West that was just recent, I think that was at the Green Park Hotel where they had people behind the stage, kind of like the WAL. That one, and then the 2 American soil cards from Core Sports, in my opinion, have been the most entertaining to watch from a pay-per-view standpoint. Sitting on a couch watching them and not being a part of it is constant dopamine. It's like there's always something going on. You don't lose interest as often. And I think that's kind of what Tim was talking about with the big stage, when a lot of your screen is a referee and Neil Pickup the entire time, and it's just them 2 standing there talking. And that's a large majority of your stream. I mean, it's easy to go stand or in the other room or go walk away for a second or something like that. But the electrifying feeling that I got from this weekend, and not even being in the building, and I remember saying the same thing about East versus West the first time it happened, and just what that does for arm wrestling. I can only imagine all those numbers are going to increase, the 1200s to the bigger numbers that we can get, to the point where hopefully, I mean, it sounds silly, but like to get it in like an arena style, you know what I mean? Where you can really pack out, thousands of people for an event. Levon Saganishvili deserves that.
Yeah, sure.
To be at that level, to be at the highest peak of a sport, to be enamored by a country, it shouldn't be something where only 1,000 spectators are coming out to see it. And I think this is just the groundbreaking of us getting to that.
This particular King of the Table was what I had envisioned from the beginning. So as a lot of people know, I was the original founder of King of the Table, and I'm the one that brought up the concept, put it all together. Larry basically was the money guy. Don came in for production, and my purpose of setting up King of the Table was to be kind of a hybrid competition. So it was set up so that it could potentially influence people that had no idea what arm wrestling was. And the way we could do that was not only I wanted to have arm wrestling matches that were there for the purists in arm wrestling. We would have the world champions. And then on the other side, I would have some high-level influencers, preferably ones that could arm wrestle as well. And
the Brian Shaws, the Eddie Halls.
Exactly. So we had Larry, of course, but, Larry was not 100%, gung-ho. I mean, he was really into arm wrestling, but I think what Eddie and Brian brought to it, especially Brian, was at another level. This is what I dreamed about.
Yeah.
And because look, Larry wasn't promoting as much as, say, Brian and Eddie were, especially Brian. Brian was, God, he was like the promoter in chief. He was insane. I mean, so many videos about it and really hyping everything up. And the coolest thing was that they both brought that match to its highest level.
Yeah, for sure.
Did, for sure.
Was incredible.
I was not excited for that match because of their level and being a purist. And then when in the middle of the match, I caught myself just being like, yes, this is it. This is awesome. Like the shit talking you expect from Eddie Hall, the anger and like hype up you expect from Brian Shaw, the magnitude of the size of these 2 human beings. And then you just added, I mean, everyone expected it to not like to be an amateur level, like transitioning and like how long they've been arm wrestling match. But the small little nuances that made such a big difference, like Brian not knowing when to slip and how to slip and just sitting there holding on in like a losing B-side position, and the amping behind the crowd of everyone and Eddie screaming at that and don't be a bitch.
He was really trying to get in his head big time. And before because I really want to talk about that, but hey, what's up, Robert Ballesteros, Johnny Masick, Jody Chocolate Thunder Williams, Ryan Brasier. Thank you so much for being here on the channel, guys. Love seeing you. Yeah, getting back to that match, dude, it was insane because it honestly, for the setup in round 1, I'm right behind Brian Shaw, and I just see him up, and I know you can't really see it like that, right? But like elbow up off the pad, just trying to figure out where he's going to put it, when he's going to get started, really psyching himself up in round 1. And you weren't sure if it was for entertainment or if it was like, damn, I'm actually pretty nervous about this match. It means a lot to me and my reputation. So I need to shut out. And I know how strong Eddie Hall is. He's going to get in my head because that's the type of guy that he was. He was messing around with everyone the entire weekend. It was hilarious. It really was.
Yeah. Well,
But
and Bradshaw is a strong man. He's not an actor. He's not a professional actor. So when
Right.
someone says they really hate losing at anything, and then
Yeah.
you know that he's the strongest man in the world, you kind of believe him, where you're kind of
Yeah.
like, he probably doesn't want to lose.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
it was crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Jody's got a question here. Question: is there a reason why KOTT doesn't really promote their events more than they do? Like someone does the interviews with the athletes who will face each other.
So, I have actually, I don't know how much people know about my involvement in King of the Table, but obviously I was an original founder. But eventually, when I moved back to the United States, I ended up selling all of my shares, and I was no longer technically with King of the Table. So that's why I hadn't been attending any King of the Tables or East versus West. I feel like it had changed a little bit from what my vision was, and so I kind of stepped back a bit. But I really feel like a lot of promotion was not happening as it was supposed to happen. So especially what Jody is actually bringing up is a great point. And too often, one of the issues was that when you're planning these events, you have to plan many events in advance. You can't just plan one. You can't do it 6 weeks ahead of time. And that was a major problem for the promotion. So now, the promotion is in new hands with new money. And I think that will all change. And so there's going to be a lot of promoting happening now that, these next events are going to be kind of going all around the world, not just in Turkey and the United States. Next event is coming up in Georgia, the country of Georgia, not the state of Georgia. So,
Right.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of promoting for both East versus West and King of the Table. And they will still have their own unique looks and own unique differences between the two. So, but they're just they're well funded now, and we'll be able to see their full potential.
Well, I mean, probably in due timing too, because I've always felt like, and this is no knock to anybody, but I've always felt like East versus West, because of their activity and how many they've had. I think we're on like East versus West 16 or 15 or 16 or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they also give you so many matches. I think that they've been like, and they've gotten their criticism, as everyone does, but they've kind of like been this leader, and they get a lot of this attention that comes with it. And then you have an event like this one that is so comparable to the East versus West that it was in Florida, that you almost, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you almost forget about the rest of the King of the Tables, and you almost just kind of put King of the Table in with the East versus West vibe now, where it's like they almost have to. Now we're King of the Table is forced to promote as much, be as big of a player, because, I mean, of what you just accomplished. That was a massive event. That was as big of an event as it gets, in my opinion. And now you're only looking at the difference between the names on East versus West, of course, or King of the Table. But realistically, you know that when you tune into either of them, you're going to get a level that is expected. So
yeah,
Incredible, man. I literally told my wife when she called me and said, "How's the event going?" I said, "Besides our kid's birth and our wedding, this is the best event I've ever been to."
Thanks. Appreciate that.
It was.
Glad I could miss it.
I love you too, bro. You know that.
Yeah, you asked me how my weekend was over the before we got on, and I said it was all right. I had to say my three best friends enjoy the time of their lives as I change diapers, but is what it is.
You know, I've been there, John. I don't feel bad for you.
No,
I did my time.
We're all still recovering. It was a very long weekend. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, the Armsport boys all afterwards then went to the New York Giants game and sat in like 20-degree weather.
Yeah, it was
Let's go.
amazing.
We got killed.
I just want to add, and of course with Adam here, and I'm always honored to even be anywhere near him, even right now, just speaking with him. You do an amazing job, man. I love what you do for the sport. This event, just all the incredible matches were amazing. But this whole thing with Brian Shaw and Paul, again, arm wrestling is a strength sport, but we've always kind of been on this fringes of everything, like
Martial
are we just
arts.
a skill sport? Yeah, are we a combat sport? Are we a strength sport? And I think now we get that tighter connection, at least into the strength world. I mean, who else can you how higher can you go as far as strength athletes? Literally the strongest men in the world. And I know I'm assuming their involvement in this sport is not over with. Brian Shaw, just knowing how he is, I don't see him walking away anytime soon. And if again, my opinion, if Eddie Hall was taking it sort of lightly, losing and having this window where you saw he had a for a little bit, that's how he catches you. You say, okay, maybe we set up a rematch at some point. Maybe I want to keep training. But I'm glad, again, a broader audience now. We literally tied to the strength world a little bit better, I believe. Yeah. And I think that's going to just open a lot more avenues for the sport in general. Again, we're still evolving the whole thing. Yes, go for it, Adam.
Yeah, just before John jumps in, one, I want to say, Terry, nice meeting you as well. And thank you, Jody. Appreciate that. Even though you beat me, I'm going to smash you next time. Anyway, that was a Washington State. We had a little test poll. It was fun. But what I wanted to mention is you guys bring up the Eddie Hall match, Eddie and Brian. Putting these things together is a team effort. Ingen is involved. Don, Coach Ray.
Yes.
We are all part of putting these matches together. And, Don put together Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall. He made that one happen. And that was key. It was really, really important. And he did an amazing job with that. I just wanted to give him a little
Thank you for giving praise to people behind the scenes that the regular public doesn't know about, man. That's awesome. That's very, very.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what you said, Adam, and I think everybody understands that Brian was the hype train behind this promotion. I think Eddie was probably 30% of how excited people were to see this match. Everyone just wants to see Brian Shaw on a table and what it looks like. You could have put Elmo up there against him and everybody would have been just as excited. But that's why I was so happy was Eddie Hall was the biggest surprise to me of the weekend. In my opinion, he looked better than Brian when it comes to arm wrestling movements. When it comes to a size of a human and how big you can be, I think we all knew Brian was much bigger than Eddie. But fluid movements, I sit there and I think he says when he gets done and he wants to try bodybuilding, Eddie does. I sit there and I think about him at 280 pounds. We have Sid Gotti here, who Sid is known. If you don't know who Sid Gotti is, he's about 300 pounds. He's a bench press champion. He benches over 650, I think, something crazy. Just a massive, massive human. But his tricep is so large that it fringes him from being able to
come inside,
do certain things on the arm wrestling table. And it makes me think a lot about these strong men. And if Eddie Hall were to drop some of his weight, and because of how athletic he is and how he moves, that dude could be a problem in the straps. He learns what he's doing. He even loses a little bit of weight because he's going to end up in the super heavyweights regardless, just because of how big and strong he is. He learned to move better just by that size, and it sounds like he's already dropping weight because he's going into bodybuilding. To me, that was the biggest interest to me that I saw over the weekend that I was so surprised about, because I really did expect Brian just to grab him and just poof, and just be over. You know what I mean? And it just wasn't the case.
Yeah. Part of it could have been uncomfortability on the table too. I mean, they were talking about that after the match. I guess there have been certain arm wrestlers that are at the very, very high pro level.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Steve?
He was stuck.
We lost you. Oh, there he is.
He's back. We didn't hear you, Steve.
Can we hear you?
Yeah. Did I break out?
Yeah.
You
Say
did.
that one more time.
What is happening right now?
It's because you
You're
live.
weak. You're weak, man.
I know, right? Something's happened in my computer.
Oh no! What's happening?
No. Nothing good.
Yeah. Once again, I think Lewis nailed it on the dot. How higher of a level could you get when it comes to a strength sport than these guys? And like, to me, a dream athlete to see on the table is Mark Felix.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, for sure.
If you've ever seen the size of the man's hand and then know what he's done, I can't imagine that there's a more naturally gifted athlete in the world if you were to really take it seriously. And these kind of things are how you get them to take it seriously. You see how big of a impact Brian Shaw has, and he's not even, like, no offense, obviously you wreck a lot of us, but he's not even that good. And he made a massive, massive impact. And to think that somebody like a Mark Felix, or just the list goes on, you know what I mean? There's probably, and I say this all the time, I am on total patience for the arm wrestling world to meet the brothers, because I came from a basketball background, and knowing the length of forearm and the size of hands of some athletes, some black dudes, I just don't want them to even be interested in arm wrestling whatsoever, because it is over for all of us. We are all one form. And so it's these kind of crossovers, these events that happen. Adam nailed it. It doesn't have to be arm wrestlers. It doesn't have to be, it could be the casual person just watching arm wrestling, seeing Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall on an arm wrestling table and be like, well, that's the direction it's headed. I think a lot of the time I go into the gym and I talk about arm wrestling, and a lot of the time it's not a Devin or a Levon that gets brought up. It's, hey, did you see Brian Shaw has a match or is arm wrestling, or did you see Larry or Shaq on ESPN or something like that, right?
The whole reason King of the Table was created.
Yeah.
That's the reason right there.
Yeah.
So, Jody just mentioned, the most exciting match was Shaw Hall, and I agree. And that was supposed to be the most exciting match. That's what I expected. But I really feel like I wish I had spoken with Levon and said, look, Levon, if you just wipe out Jerry, you get that 4-0, then go on for at least one more and let Jerry get into his spot.
For sure.
And just see what would happen. That we just want to know. And now we don't know.
It's the same thing as when Hermes went up against Jerry. It was over so quick that it was so anticlimactic. It felt like a disappointment. It felt like you didn't get what you wanted out of it.
Yeah.
But also from a competition standpoint, it just goes to show what Levon is capable of. I'm going to completely nullify his lane to the point where it doesn't even look like it's a match. And how long have we been talking about Jerry being the only press in arm wrestling that even has a chance? Didn't even matter.
And it's all he kept on saying too. We could hear him in the stands. He was basically just saying, if I can only get my hand a little lower on his hand. And Levon was just so smart, man, so mechanical to make sure that he controlled his wrist. So when Jerry went to flop press, he couldn't even bend that wrist. It was just already taken over. It was all it was done. Robert Racky, great to see you, man. Jay Clean, thank you. Murphy, you as well, bro. Brian versus Eddie, way better than slap fight. I agree 100%. 100%.
1,000%.
I don't know. I think I would enjoy watching Eddie versus Brian Shaw in a slap fight.
Let's not talk about slap fighting anymore, John.
Yeah.
Arm wrestling channel right now.
Yeah.
No, when I see like natural people, I think they're dumb as hell.
Natural.
If I were to see like Brian, no, I mean like just like fat nobodies. No offense to any slap fighters, but then if I were to see like an actual athlete on there, I don't know. I might. It's like celebrity death match almost.
Well, it would be a death match, of course. If one of those two got hit, that'd be ridiculous, dude. Yeah. No.
Oh my god.
Jody, no doubt, man. Levon had a great gameplay. I wonder where he got that gameplay from.
The what?
He said Levon had a great game plan. I wonder where he got that great game plan.
Well,
who knows?
Well, it's funny that you say that though, because I know where you guys are tying that into. D'Anthony had sent me that video that guy, I think a Harm Dealer made, but it really wasn't a surprise. That is exactly how Hermes beat Jerry and made it look so easy. If there is a style on how to beat the press. And I said the same thing to D'Anthony last night. I can't tell you how long the King's move was looked at as this unbeatable move that you you couldn't get past because at the very end, and it was mainly Michael Todd that you were looking at. Someone beat Michael Todd and showed a blueprint of how you beat the press. His name's Devin Larratt. And then after that point, you realize the King's move is now not the move anymore. You very rarely see somebody going to that move and it working because the blueprint has been shown. And so it makes me, it's so funny that we sit here and talk about this because in real time, it's sitting there blowing through my mind. I wonder now if the press now changes in arm wrestling. I wonder if now the press becomes less of effective of a move because everyone looks at it as such an effective move. I'm wondering if now, because the blueprint has been shown, if it now just goes right out the window, just kind of like how the Kings was treated.
Just remember, Hermes basically beat Michael Todd when Hermes was only 180 pounds twice.
Yeah.
Went right through his King's move. Just so you know.
Yeah. Crazy.
But once again,
he didn't even need to talk Hermes to figure it out. Ron Bass showed everyone how to do it back in OU at the Mohegan Sun back in 07.
Okay, there you go.
I'm sure there's so many. Okay, here's another great one. Most people have not seen this match. Go back and watch Travis Bagent versus Jerry Cadorette in the WAL. Bet you've never seen Travis Bagent press before.
Nope, never.
Will blow your mind. You watch that match and you're like, what the hell? Travis Bagent literally sets up like the forward shoulder and just boop, just right over Jerry. And so there is a blueprint in arm wrestling, and it is why styles make matches. I think it is exactly like what Adam just said. I would have been so intrigued to see Jerry on that bicep in the straps and just to see if Levon could hold it, rip him through. Like you said, consequence aside.
Yeah.
I wanted Levon to win that match because it just made more sense to me.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, I almost feel like I didn't get to see what everybody was wanting in that match when it comes to a battle.
Yeah. A great example of that actually at the same event would have been Lars versus Lachlan Adair. Lars has a crazy press, and Lachlan in round one didn't let him get there. He was able to stop it, and he literally yelled at him right afterwards and said, "Your press ain't shit." And then Lars, in I think round 3 or 4, he was able to get to the press. I think it was round 3, got to the press, and we saw whether or not Lachlan was able to hold it outside the shoulder, and he wasn't. Lars got that pin.
That's right.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, besides the Shaw and Hall match, definitely Lars and Lachlan, like that match it's just very exciting for me. Just the back and forth. You could see that was definitely the chess game on that one. That out of the matches that night, for me, that was definitely a chess game. You could see him kind of working his way to get into his position. And, it was definitely a highlight for me to see that one, be right there and watch it.
How fun was it to watch all the bar matches?
It was super cool, dude. It was super because they're on a regular table, and you're not expecting to see professional arm wrestlers on a regular table with a sweater under their shoulder, and they're rolling.
That's freedom, baby. That's freedom.
One side or the other, like this. No, you didn't pin it. No, you didn't pin it. It was hilarious, bro. West and Devin were going off, and I think Corey actually got 3 pins on Devin. 3 in a row.
Jody Chocolate Thunder Williams. Here's the difference. Hermes flop came from a back pressure off the go, where Jerry tried to just press off the go with no back. Oh, he's talking about when Hermes pressed Levon.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, because Hermes had so much back pressure at one point that it stopped Levon's hit from a pin, and then his wrist was gone, and that's why he was able to then create the pressure to go forward. I don't know if you guys heard, I can't remember if it was in his post-match interview or where it was, but Jerry talking about how he almost thought about going outside for a second to try to just get out of Levon's hands to see if it would change anything. He heard Devin or somebody saying it in the background. I think he just said it. I don't remember why he said he didn't do it, but
There was a lot of technical aspects throughout the entire tournament, you know, in every single match you heard guys saying, okay, this isn't working, so we have to go this way. It was so mechanical and it was so well thought out. And it was great as, you know, a novice arm wrestler, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years in, whoever was there to be able to experience it, because they didn't only get to see great matches, but they definitely learned a lot mentally when it comes to, you know, different scenarios on the table. Another great example of something that kind of blew me away was watching Matt Mask and Marcio Barbosa. I thought Matt Mask for sure was going to win that. I didn't realize he was going to win it so handily. But then after 4 rounds and going 4-0, he says to Marcio, let's go ahead inside. If you want to keep on going, we'll go inside. We'll see what would happen. And we saw what happened. Styles make matches. If Marcio was able to get inside, he's going to beat Matt Mask on the inside all day on the bicep.
For sure.
So it's kind of cool to see.
Correct, Jody, which would make Monster Michael Todd's match interesting if he can beat Hermes. I talked about this on my video. I don't know if it's a matter of how he's changed through his surgery or what. It's just so odd for me to think that everybody that we have in arm wrestling, the person that we're going to nominate is Michael Todd, and the reason is because he has this weird King's move at the very end that might crack Levon's wrist and then be able to transition into a press. It almost, to me, and once again, I'm a fan of Michael Todd, but it almost seems to me like Levon is so far above everybody that we're making these like outlandish scenarios to happen is the only way that he's going to beat him. Oh, but what if Michael Todd is perfect that day and executes the best King's move of all time? Like we didn't see Levon press right through Devin.
Right.
Yeah.
He needed to. In my opinion, we're getting to the point where it's kind of just like there is nobody, so let's just nominate anybody and everybody.
They're just trying to get the one American that can try and put up a stop. You know, that's obviously what's happening here.
I don't think he stops it. I don't think everyone says he stops that match like he cracks Levon's wrist. I don't think so. I think he just full on just boop, one move and that's it. I think his hand is way too much for Michael's hand.
I think at this point, even not just our pollers in the United States, but worldwide, the strength gap between Levon and anybody else is just so huge that we might not see a round go drawn out a little bit, or kind of somebody to find a lane that they might be able to work with. It's going to be tough. Like I said, that strength gap. I mean, I know this
no doubt
about strength only. There's a lot of other aspects, but when it comes down to it, if you're just plowing through everybody and you're just that many levels above everybody else right now, it's just
Best comment.
People trying to catch up, and Levon might be out of the sport before somebody even catches up.
It's true.
You know,
that's how I feel.
That's just how I kind of feel. But there's going to be guys chasing him, which is going to create a lot of, guys are still chasing him. I'm telling you, there's guys in the world.
It's almost like a cool and a not cool thing when a Khabib happens where they go 27-0, 29-0, whatever it is, and then they retire before you ever get to see them like really, really, really tested. But then it makes you wonder, like, was there even anybody there to test him that you could have ever volunteered them up in the first place? And I really do feel like that's where we're at with Levon.
Well, yeah, I think it's a great question for Adam, actually. I mean, considering you've been in the sport for a lot longer than us, on and off, of course, but then you know these athletes quite well. Who do you think is the best in America right now for Levon? Or do you think that there's maybe someone behind the scenes that you've met that no one else has that he has a chance to climb the ladder?
That's
a good happen from different countries?
A lot of people thought it was going to be Rivas.
Oh,
because of his size, and then he lost like 2 matches, and then now that dude's completely out of the conversation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I honestly thought Jerry was a good option because of the Hermes situation, being able to kind of hold Levon off. So I don't know. I would have to think about that one further because nobody comes to mind immediately.
So
for sure.
Two great comments. Obviously, REHCP, Jody versus James Wall, left-handed, best match of 2024. I agree. I was there watching it, screaming at Jody. Just sick match because Bogdan Stoica like convinces James Wall to join like left-handed last minute because James is like, I'm just gonna plow through everybody while I'm gonna do this. And then Jody just comes out of nowhere with his hit, gets put back on his bicep, and then has to continue to like hit in this open top roll Oh my God, just beautiful. Jody.
And James thought he had it coming back too, man. Like halfway through the match, he's like,
Starts
no.
shaking his head.
And
Yeah.
he's like, wait, what?
And then
you dude, it's such a pleasure meeting all you guys.
Jody, I posted this on my Facebook page. The more Levon wins, the more views the Sabin versus Levon match gets. Jody, if you're still with us, I'm really interested though. Do you feel like that Sabin pin was before Levon who he was now to this day? And then also, I want to say that was a one and done, and Levon came back and beat Sabin in the finals after that. I could be wrong, but I want to say that was a fluke. Now, obviously, that's what everybody wants to say other than Sabin. Where's the super match with me and versus James Wall? Let's go. Let's go. But yeah, that's my personal opinion. I think that was before the Levon who was Levon, because if you've watched Levon's journey, this is a dude that came from like 186 pounds. That's gone all
same as Hermes.
400 pounds. So a very large, long journey that this guy has gone through. And obviously at one point he was not the dude. There was a time when nobody even knew Levon Saginashvili's name. You know what I mean? He's a very, very, very new monster and champion that we have. And it also just goes to show that who knows in 5 years. I've been watching this sport. I'm sorry. I've been watching this sport for about 10 years. I've been a part of the sport for about 5 years. And I can tell you at the beginning of me watching this sport, I was not under the impression that Levon Saginashvili was going to be the number one in the world. It was the Denis Saplenkovs. It was the Devin Larratt's. Look at where Dennis is right now. In 5 years compared to where he was just 5 years ago, it just goes to show if you stick around in arm wrestling long enough, you will get beaten. There is always a bigger fish.
Yep.
But will Levon – I think Levon is still young enough. How old is he? He's not even in his 40s, is he?
He's like 36, maybe.
Plenty of time to find somebody to beat that ass. Plenty.
Denis Saplenkov, of course, if he was healthy this whole time, it could have been a lot different. It's hard to, say much about that.
Same thing. Do you think Levon is going to go on and be able to abuse steroids for as long as he can? That's the reason why Dennis got unhealthy, was because he was.
Oh, he's natural. No, I'm just kidding. But.
Right.
Eric Levins, ironically get to 280 would be wild.
I think most people are overlooking Mike.
Please don't. But yeah. Well, you know what? Since I still have Adam here and I haven't asked him, and honestly, I didn't speak to him as much this weekend because he was obviously very busy. And I told him I'd give him a little break from my insults. You're welcome. But as far excluding, again, we're kind of getting back to the pay-per-view, excluding like the Shaw match. Did there any of the matches, any of the interactions between any of the matches that did happen? Like, were you surprised by anything? Did anything kind of like, just really stand out to you? That just something you didn't expect? I just, like I said, I didn't really get to speak to him too much, but just want to see if something just gave you that little twinkle in your eye when you saw it.
Right. I would probably say that maybe Barbora's match.
Let's go.
I was thinking that, my God, Gabby really has a chance here, but it kind of happened just like the last time, where she's super strong in the beginning and then she kind of gassed out. It was like,
Well, I don't even know if it's a matter of gassing out, Adam, because I also talked about this on my video where when someone gets their wrist cracked back and they're able to drag side pressure coordination through the other person, I've always thought that if you could do that enough, you're going to break that person's strong hammer. And I think Barbora just had enough pronation to catch it right at the end. You're right. Almost like a flashback of last match. But how nervous we get. I'm a Barbora fan, big time.
Yeah.
Nervous round one. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen. I'm like, oh my God.
Right. Well, I love both of them. I don't know Barbora as much. Gabby's a friend of mine, and I was rooting for her just because I personally know her and have hung out with her, and
for sure.
So I was hoping for the best, but
we got some chats here. The real only person who has a chance against Levon is the new improved Vitali, which I don't necessarily disagree with. That's been a long time since we've seen that match. Yes, it was before Levon won and puts. Yes, it was before Levon was who he was. That's what Jody's saying. Levon won and put Sabin back on B side, and he came back around and pinned him. Let's see. Levon began world class really quickly. The dude was winning worlds within 5 years of starting arm wrestling. Rackley get to 280 would be wild. I mean, but once again, that dude is so shredded.
Shredded.
At two, what does he fight at?
242, I think.
No.
He does 95s.
Yeah,
He competes at like 209, 210 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
Bye.
That dude, yeah, that's what I mean. You think that dude could put on another 80 pounds? Get out of here, bro.
You never know.
Crazy.
Remember, nobody ever thought, Hermes was going to get to the size that he's at. So
Levon too. Levon was skinny as fuck.
Yeah, dude. Jody, it might be to a point where we have a Georgia versus Georgia, Levon versus Gennady. Definitely a possibility. Same thing, like I said, against Rivas. Someone on here said that Levon versus Rivas was a good match back in 2018. But once again, Rivas, as of lately, has been just not the same guy. I loved people who were surprised by how dominant a healthy Rustam was. Just incredible.
Smashed.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy, and I'm not going to say this backwards. I'm going to say it the right way. Joseph pulls just like him, and that's his favorite arm wrestler.
Oh yeah.
It's like watching Joseph
He's one of my favorites too,
and watching Rustam afterwards. I was like, it's like night and day. That's what he studies.
He might be tied for one of the most medals, like world championships, most just. And the same thing, whole family. You guys know Mikhail from here.
Yeah.
Very good friends with Rustam Babayev.
Yeah.
Just incredible. Aaron Castillo, I think Todd versus Irakli to be much closer this time around. Todd Hutchins versus Irakli definitely could be interesting. But once again, Todd being able to fight without his hand, I just don't know. That's I don't think Irakli would be very effective at 280. I definitely could see that. Irakli walks around about 97 kg. See, Lewis, that is my point. I forget what he was. Trey Johnson out of Flashpoint. What's going on, brother? Thanks for joining us. Rustam has the most WAF golds of any male puller, 20.
That's sick. Well,
we were supposed to be joined by Joseph Moranto tonight, and unfortunately, he got called into work last minute. He did text me and let me know. We are going to try to get him on here in the next week because we definitely want to hear about, just from his perspective, how it felt to be at the King of the Table for the first time, to get that national presence, how he feels now going forward. I know this is always how it works, but now everybody's calling his name. Now everybody arm wrestle Joseph. And before, this is the thing I love. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, if he beats Palco, then I might arm wrestle him." If he's on that stage, you haven't arm wrestled him already, then you should want to arm wrestle him. Period. But
100%.
Realistically, he just went right through Palco. So I don't know if you want to arm wrestle him. Let's be real.
The real one. Shout out to all you guys. Awesome was Joseph's win and being on the card with Levon. Yeah, man, it was so sick to see our boy. Honestly, I was. In round one, after the slip, when they went to the straps and Joseph, he was just grinding at the get and finally got that. I jumped out. You know how I am, dude. When I see something happen, I jumped out of my seat. I'm shaking. Let's go. And then Tin had to look at me and say, "Bro, sit down. You're going to get kicked out." I'm like, oh. Sat back down real quick. But I want to say hats off to both those competitors, dude. Honestly, Kevin Palco was a professional at the table.
He's a good friend of mine.
Great guy, man. And I saw one of his lives earlier, and he said that there were some people giving him a little bit of shit for, showboating and everything else. When you're on the table in front of the biggest crowd that you've ever been in, that is your opportunity. Your job is to get hyped, not only for yourself, but to get the crowd hyped up as well, to make them go crazy, because you want to be on that card again. Obviously.
Yeah, Kevin had said that he had something for all those haters. I've got something too.
Bang. There you go. Kevin. It was a pleasure meeting you, dude. It was awesome to watch you pull our boy Joseph. You gave it everything that you had. And I'm sure that that's not the last time that you two are going to cross paths.
Trey Johnson, I love seeing Joseph out there. I called it a win for him before the match even started. Palco is awesome too, but always rooting for Moranto. So what do we think, boys? Yeah. Does that now put
Joseph's number 3 in the country.
Number 3?
Joseph is number 3 in the country.
Because Kevin was number 1 at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then Cody
Number
Wood just
four.
won.
Yeah. Cody Wood.
Cody Wood and who else?
Roman.
Roman.
Yeah.
Didn't Kevin beat Roman?
A long time ago. That was a little while ago.
In my opinion, if you have a win on a guy, is what it is.
Yeah.
I think Joseph beats Roman.
Joseph's happy to be number 3 right now. We had a long conversation after the tournament. You know,
Yeah.
he's super stoked to be number 3, and he's just looking forward to the future, man. Who the next person up is going to be.
That's
You know, I
so
know that Cody Wood has a match coming up with Hellboy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. And then obviously, I think Hunter Knopf is a thought, but at the same time, dude's big now, bro. Like he's pulling 185s, 190.
Yeah, he's never going to make 154s again.
Right. And God bless him. Like he's going up in weight, and he's a smasher, bro. He's a strong dude. But yeah, I think we got to see probably a Joseph and a Cody Wood at some point in time.
Jake Houston, who was at Washington State over the weekend, does have a win over Kevin Palco. Talked a lot about how he would be interested in pulling Joseph if Joseph won. I did get the chance to after pull Jake, and Jake is a very he tries to take the hand and wrist, and I just don't. He said that it would be at 165 pounds. I think Joseph would go right through him. I just personally, after feeling Jake and knowing how strong Joseph is, I don't think that's a great match. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's another high-ranked national puller that you could definitely see something happen with. He said a lot.
And didn't Jake Houston go against Sam Pofcher as well?
Correct, and lost.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But I think that was, once again, that was a 176-pound class.
Right.
So Joseph walking around at 152 pounds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Aaron, get your boy Sam. I met Sam, dude. He's a great guy. Get him down to 154s and we could have a chat. Have a chat with Joseph.
Sam used to live in Arizona, used to train in Arizona, has been around a very long time. Really seasoned, smart puller.
He's looking strong.
I actually think that Sam beats Joseph, but I think that it is just because of weight at that point. Like I think that's going to be a 20-pound swing that is actually going to make a difference. When you know how to arm wrestle and know how to arm wrestle well, 20 pounds can make a big difference.
It can. But you look at Doug Ehrlich versus Hunter Knobs at the same time. Did they come in at the same weight, or was Ehrlich bigger than him?
I'm not sure. Who was the last puller that beat Roman at that Monster Factory event? Ooh. Sam is normally 154 pounds. He can get there anytime he wants. Oh.
Nice.
Interesting. At 154 pounds, I don't think he beats Joseph. I don't.
Yeah. Super proud of our boy, man.
Yeah, I'm very happy for all you guys. Lewis, great job over the weekend arm wrestling. And I don't even just mean your results, like watching you arm wrestle. Just really, really, really good transitioning and movement. And once again, I'm talking about your right arm. It was still a pleasure to watch, and it was still really awesome. Steve, I mean, other than Frank Hurst, there was just you were there. Can't really compare to a guy that's been pulling as long as you've been alive.
I didn't even know him. That's how new I am. I didn't know. I'm like, who is this guy that I'm about to go against?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, he's amazing, actually. He's a great guy, too.
Incredible.
And then obviously the reason why I wanted Adam on this is I wanted to have you talk all of us with and about Joseph, but from Arizona's finest to Washington State to being a part of just hanging out with you whenever it is, these guys in Atlantic City, whatever it is, it's always a pleasure. And you are not recognized enough for what you do for arm wrestling. We appreciate you always. Thank you. And anytime you come to Arizona, I've got an ass spanking waiting for you.
It's always a pleasure.
I will destroy you. Oh,
look at that.
You're nothing. You're a loser.
But thank you guys all. Thank you all, the chat. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to keep this under an hour. We'll see you guys next time. Like I said, hopefully we'll get Joseph and Tim back on here. Please share this share this video. Like, subscribe, do it all. Go over to Adam the Bodybuilder Bully if you don't. Follow that channel. Steve West Arm Wrestling channel. Everyday Arm Wrestler. And
Everyday Arm Wrestler Lewis.
Hey, that
John Belak Arm Wrestling channel.
small channel.
Shout out to Fuel IV and IDD as well.
Yes. Shout out to all our sponsors as always. We love you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.